So last night was a little rough, so I came up this morning to one of my favorite peaceful spaces to get grounded and have some quiet and solitude time, and I guess release this tension in my body. I sat in, well, I walked in the sand, and with walking in the sand, it felt like the earth was taking whatever I was stressed out about out of my body, and I don't feel as tense. Okay, almost got it up. I don't know, I think it was a bee, but sounds like it was. Anyway, I'm sitting on a rock now to align my root chakra. It's one of my favorite rocks to sit on, and looking out into the ocean. Where I am, it's at the border of Virginia and Maryland, so I'm on the Virginia side, and if I was to take a picture on the other side, it's Maryland. I come here because, I like the beach, but I don't really have much of a bigger beach around me in my area, so this is like beach-like to be. And yeah, I just enjoy the calmness and quietness of this area. I mean, there's a guy mowing his lawn, but that's not as, like, it's kind of in a soothing sound in a way. I wanted to come on here to say that I've been reading a lot about forgiveness, and basically in my life, I've found myself kind of like cutting off people and telling people, I don't really want to deal with them anymore. And it's been rough. Like, it's been a hard decision. And it just something that I had to choose for myself, for my peace, for my sanity. And I'm also a person that is a people pleaser, or used to be a person that people pleased and wanted to help and empathize and take on everybody's burdens and as my own, and am not realizing like everybody's going through their own suffering, and even though I may be at a different speed or ahead, that everybody may not be at my level, and that is okay, you know. But sometimes with elevating to other levels, you start to realize like a lot of things you do and don't want to deal with anymore. And I think I've just gotten to that point. And even though it's a lonely, or it feels lonely, I know that I'm not alone in this. I've leaned on God and Jesus in so many ways, and that's mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, in a loving manner. I'm trying to learn to love myself more and accept who I am. I cut my hair October of last year, and it's grown so beautifully, but I also went through an identity change with cutting my hair, and I had to look at myself differently every day, because you go from like cutting it all the way down and then seeing it grow, and I did get uncomfortable with being in front of the camera and talking to people, because I'm not gonna lie, like I was treated differently with shorter hair than what I had when I had longer hair or wore wigs or anything. And it did change the perspective on life a little bit, on how people are kind of superficial and judgmental. And maybe I've taken it that way because I know that at one point I was very superficial and judgmental. Not that I'm perfect, but it's just one of those lessons learned. Like, everybody goes through changes and it may not look pretty, but you still will adapt and change over time. And you just have to kind of take those adaptations and adapt to them and, keep going forward and not dwell on what it used to be. I looked at old pictures, and honestly, when I had my hair, it was frustrating to have, hence why I wore wigs, and not saying that wearing wigs is wrong. Like, I still put in a weave or wear a wig here and there, but I just didn't know how to manage my hair. And now that I know how to take care of my hair better, starting from anew versus on like old patterns that was in my hair, it's given me a different perspective of things. It's a beautiful bird. But either way, I just found myself amongst all of these changes. So when I cut my hair, that's when I felt like a lot of people got cut out of my life. And um, I saw this post about how hair carries trauma. And when I look back at all the people I was hanging out with, I was in some very traumatic states, I would say. Um, I would say that, like, I was probably the most depressed, the most negative talking self or insecure self that I was. And the people that were around me, I looked at them as like someone that could relate, you know? And in those moments of insecurity, um, I wasn't aware that I was possibly inflicting insecurity in other people. And that can be very dangerous, because when you do get to a secure state and maybe the other person is insecure, it becomes a jealousy or envy. And it's like, I never wanted to have that within my relationships. I feel like I've grown up uh, with my mother that was jealous of me a lot and wanted to inflict jealous traits upon me against my brothers and sisters. And I just never had that spirit in me to be jealous. And I think that's where I get confused with other people when they start to become jealous of me, because it's like, I've been through bullying. I've been through feeling very bad about myself. Like, to be called beautiful was a lot because I had went through relationships that didn't make me feel so beautiful. And I continued to pick partners that just wasn't really choosing me and wasn't really loving me in the way that would make me feel beautiful or feel great, or as if I was doing something positive in our relationship, even though I felt that I was. But I think there probably was that negative undertone under it. And now that I've grown into this person with new hair, my dating has minimized. I am particularly choosy about who I want around me. I am particular about what I'm looking for and what I need and who I want around. And I'm learning, I'm trying to find trust within the male community. And not to say that there's not trustworthy men around. I just think that the men that I've came across are just not trustworthy men in general, you know? So with that, it came with me blindly trusting the males. And when it came to females, I wasn't as trusting because I kind of already knew that pattern, considering I grew up with my mom. So with the girls and the women that I know, I felt like maybe there was this automatic sisterhood, and with the automatic sisterhood, that came with trust, it came with love, and all these things. But underneath it all, it wasn't really a trustful relationship, and there was other insecurities and things within the other women, and it was taken upon or placed upon me or projected on me, and I reacted. I reacted because that's not who I am. And with males and women, or men and women, it's like you could be with a man and then all of a sudden this woman is jealous of you because maybe he uh, insinuated for them to be jealous of me, you know? Or the way I was being treated by some of my partners made women jealous because they wanted essentially what I had. But at the time, I, you know, was thinking jealousy towards the men, not so the women. And then it would come off as if I'm jealous of the women. And it's like, no, it's something you're doing that's making me feel this insecurity. And in a lot of friendships and relationships, I found myself involved in a lot of my friends' relationships, and a lot of them depending on me to kind of carry the emotional baggage of these relationships. And I know that I've done the same things to my friends as far as like emotional baggage, but you know, you learn. And I apologize for those times. I apologize for putting my friends through the delusional phases and putting my friends through the jealousy phases and feeling like they're trying to get my man because I was just trying to protect me being abandoned and hurt, you know. And eventually I ended up cutting them off or getting abandoned anyway, you know. So it's like the conflicts that I had inside of me and I was manifesting were not good manifestations. And it's caused me to withdraw and isolate away from people because, you know, you want to look within. You don't want to continue to keep harming people or hurting people or making them feel away because you're dealing with stuff on the inside. And instead of projecting out the hurt from my heart, it's kind of like you kind of have to invert in and go to the hurt and the root of the hurt in your heart in order to fix the root issue and be better, you know. But a lot of my partners and my friends didn't see it that way, and it hurts because, you know, they say that you're supposed to use relationships to heal one another, and in my circumstances I just felt like most of my relationships were one-sided. um, and it could have been me too, like maybe I had some self-serving and selfish ways in them, but even upon that, it's like there was no reciprocation of what I was doing for them that they would do for me. Because when it came to me and me expressing how I felt and my emotions and their actions and pointing out what they were doing and how I felt, they turned their back on me, you know? And you kind of get sick of that pattern after a while, so that's why you just kind of retreat back to yourself. And that's basically where I'm at, you know? And it manifested in areas like my career, my children, my family, and I've even disconnected from my family, my mom being number one, because I was trying to evolve and be something different and try a different way and try to give a different perspective, like give a different light on what was happening in my life and what I required, you know. And not that I wasn't accepting my mom for who she is, like I accept her for who she is, like I know how she is, but some of her behaviors, you know, I felt like in order for us to exist in a loving manner, um, there has to be some adjustments, you know. And some people just have a hard time adapting to that, and that's okay, you know. I can't force her to do whatever she wants to do. And again, I accepted that moment that she wasn't willing to change, and I took my decision to change and I just left her alone. And it was that simple, because you kind of have to leave people where they are and move forward. Now I forgive and I don't regret my decision because, again, I had to do it for myself. Whereas in my life, myself comes first. And when other people are not taking into consideration the other person's feelings or how it may be making them feel, it's hurtful, you know? And I can scream blue in the face and it seems like in my patterns of relationships, I'm like begging and looking for this approval and looking for this validation and looking for this pick me, choose me energy, where it's like if they want to, they're going to do it, right? If they want to spend time with me, they are going to plan to spend time with me. If I want to do the same things with them, I would. But it's like I get this pushback or energy that it's asking for a lot. And when you get in positions with people where it seems like you're just asking for a lot, you start trying to go towards people that will say, you know, that's not a lot. I can do that. I'm willing to do that. And let's do this. And I've had a couple of people do that with me. Unfortunately, again, I may have had some toxic behavior or some types of self issues that I needed to work through, that things didn't pan out perfectly, but at least they tried to be understanding and they tried to be there. But you get tired of being called the person of drama when you're just expressing your truths or expressing their truths. You know, you get criticized a lot. You know, I criticize myself probably the most and the worst, and I need to do better with that. And sometimes some people are just not used to hearing criticism or hearing, hey, that's not cool of what you did, and maybe you should change that, you know, so that you don't have to keep getting the same result of your actions. And some people are just stuck in those ways. And at times I just wish that some people just held me accountable. You know, I just wish that people held me accountable for maybe the things that I did wrong in order for me to know that I need to change X, Y, and Z. But being constantly told, okay, well, every time I come to you about something, you're exploding. And it may be true, but it's like, I'm only feeling that way because, and I'm not going to even justify it. You know what? I'm wrong. You know, I'm wrong for exploding on those people, maybe for them expressing their feelings, hence why I've gotten back the energy that I've received, you know? And it's a hard pill to swallow, because you don't want to think that you're this explosive, out of control person that just can't handle, you know, simple conversations. And to me, it was like, that was never that, you know? It was never me not trying to deal with the conversation. It was more so, hey, maybe that's, you know, not the right perspective to look at. And it just doesn't work out for me. I am an emotional being. I'm still human, you know. I have a right to feel frustrated or upset about things. And I don't need people that's going to say, well, you can't express it that way. You got to do it this way. It's like, no, just listen to the message. Like, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to how I feel. Like, why does it always seem like the tone, you know, is the issue? And it's like, yeah, I get my tone, but are you listening? Are you hearing me? Do you hear my hurt? Do you hear my pain? Or you're just looking at my reactions? Because ultimately, like, what what more can I do? You know, I can't be perfect all the time. And I think that that's where I got with my relationships. I felt like I had to live this perfection and be this way and be that way. And I've been like that all my life as a kid, you know? And it just hurts that people want to place you in this box. And I'm never trying to put people in a box. I'm more so like, hey, let's try to do something different so we can work together in a partnership. Let's try to do something different so we can work towards a better friendship. Let's like try to do something different so it could be much of an organized conversation where we're talking instead of yelling, you know? And I don't want to yell and scream. That is not my intentions. Like, I don't honestly like to argue. I'm a very quiet, peaceful person. My profession, I'm a massage therapist. I am in calm situations. So if I feel like you're trying to place this idea on me that I know to be not true, I'm going to get passionate and defend myself. And that's just the bottom line. Like, you should always be able to stand up for yourself. You should always be able to correct someone when you feel like they're wrong. You know, like, I'm not going to continue to keep taking this criticism And it's like I said, if I am that way, I'll accept it. But why wasn't it discussed before it escalated to this point that we're now disconnected, you know? And if if you were listening probably at the times that I was just talking and trying to express it in a calm manner, then maybe it wouldn't have escalated into a larger yelling match, you know? Again, I'm not perfect, and I know that other people are not perfect. I don't expect perfection from anyone. Honestly, I feel like I'm like the lowest maintenance friend you could ever have. I don't require you talking to me every day. I don't require you, to do a lot of things. And maybe that's where I fall short, because maybe I need those things. And I'm saying, like, hey, I get people have lives and everything like that. But what can we do differently? Like, in order for us to maintain this connection, to maintain this bond. But things I don't tolerate is lying. I don't do the lying. And the fact that you probably withheld an issue from me, to me, is considered lying, because you've lived with this issue for this long. And instead of you saying, hey, you did this, you pretended for years that this problem didn't bother you. And it did. And that's hurtful, because it's like, why would you hold something like that in for so long? And the moment I'm like, hey, you're doing this, and then it's well, you did this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a minute. I didn't even know that was a problem. So now I'm mad, because it's like, you're making it like, okay, I came to you about your issue, and now you're digging at me in a negative light, when we could have just had a positive conversation about it, and I could have just changed it. But I can't change if no one's going to talk to me. And it's like, yeah, I'm probably going to get upset, because no one wants to take self-criticism. Like, oh my gosh, no one wants to take self-criticism. Let's be real. Like, stop the cap. You don't want to take self-criticism, and you're going to take it because, again, around the people you love, you want them to love you, and you want to change to be a better person. But if you're not giving me the opportunity to change to be a better person, what can I do? Except walk away. And if I'm that big of a problem, if I'm that much of an issue, then don't have me around. And that's my idea. You guys can probably say or tell me if I'm wrong, or if it's another thing I could look into. Again, if I'm a toxic person, I want to be told that. Or if I'm doing something wrong, I want to be told that. I don't want people to write their narratives in their head and then deal with me and tolerate me because they feel like they have to. When you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. You have a choice just as much as I have a choice. In the relationships that I was in, I felt like I didn't have a choice because, I don't know, I didn't want to be alone. And after I got over that fear of being alone, it was wraps. Like, me cutting off people, it's kind of a second nature, detaching. That was a lot. I don't really know the purpose of this video. I never really had intentions. I just wanted to record, that I came out and was trying to find peace. And a lot of messages are coming to me pertaining to my relationships and basically what I could do better. I can go back and try to forgive these people. I'm not going to lie. But do I want them back in my life? Probably not. Because of the possibility that it may not be truthful. And for me to ask for truth and knowing that you're capable of lying, it's not going to work. And that's what it boils down to. It boils down to saying, yeah, I forgive you. And yeah, that's messed up, but you're living a life and I want you to be happy. That's all. That's honestly all I've ever wanted for my friends and partners, is if I'm not making you happy, then go to what makes you happy. And I don't see anything entirely wrong with that, because I'm putting your happiness before my own. But I'm also saying within my own happiness, I don't have to tolerate the lies, the cheating, the disrespect, the actions, the behaviors. I don't have to do all that. And my life is forever evolving, and I realize like some people are not evolving and they're just stuck in their delusional lands, and I don't want to be there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I only want to live in truth, and that's all I can do. And this is why I'm here. I'm here to express my truths. I'm here to get out the hurt, the pain, be vulnerable, build a community that understands and relates and want to make differences in life and want to move forward from the trauma. I'm here to help people detach. I'm here to help people transform. There's always death and rebirth and everything. And me as a Scorpio moon, I mean, that's just part of my emotional nature. I can't help the stars that aligned when I was born. And I'm a Libra sun. So I find justice and fairness in everything. I find, we have to weigh and balance things out. And I just want balance, transformation, evolution. Like, balance, transformation, evolution. Because we all have to balance. We have to balance our left and right brain, our masculinity and femininity, the negatives and positives, the good and bad, the rights and wrongs. We have to balance those things. And sometimes if the wrongs are outweighing the rights, then unless there's a full redemption, which you do have to give grace and the space for people to redeem themselves, which I'm aware. I don't know if I've gotten to that level, like, honestly. I don't know if I've gotten to the level of allowing people to redeem themselves. Because every time I've went backwards, not going to lie, like, this is just my life. I don't know. I can't speak for other people. Anytime I've ever went backwards, I was always reminded why it didn't work out. That things are still the same. And my needs are not met. And even though I've expressed them and we've had the conversation, they're not met. And that's just real, babes. Like, and I've accepted that. And I'm not mad. Like, I'm just, trying to learn, just like everybody else, their experiences and stuff like that. And it's like, I've been self-taught and self-teaching myself for a long time. And it just gets to a point where you just kind of like teach yourself these lessons. You just look and observe and look around. And again, I'm in a space of peace and quietness where, I don't want to be wrapped up on a couch just watching somebody play video games or smoking or drinking and not really handling the issues, just kind of brushing past them or numbing the pain. The conversations need to be different. I'm a business owner, and I, again, want to help people and move forward with life, with other people that want to be a part of my life. And I've just been shown that some people just don't want to be a part of my life. And they can say, oh, well, I was giving you space and waiting for you to come back. And it's like, well, what if I never come back? What if I don't come back? Are you going to step forward? And I'm not going to keep going back and forth with someone that's going to always make me feel like, oh, well, you're the one that went off, so you're the one that needs to contact me. And, okay, well, we'll leave it at that. I'll contact you when I'm ready. That simple. And, that's funny because Simone Biles' mom went on the radio and had an interview, and she was dealing with addiction. She probably didn't do the best at the time with her children, so her dad took over. And, there was a redemption moment where they did, Simone and Simone's mom did do things together sporadically and talk. But now, Simone's grown up. She's married. She's one of the top Olympic players, and in gymnastics. Sorry, shout out to Simone Biles. But her mom, went on the radio and was just like, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of rehashing the same rhetoric every 4 years, and knowing that my daughter is being successful and all these things, I don't want to interrupt that. Like, me calling her, yeah, that's fine, but if she doesn't answer the call, baby, how can we get through the stuff, right? And then she said, I'll give her the space and allow her to come back when she's ready. And that, to me, is astounding, and it allows people to heal at the pace that they want to heal. Like, why keep forcing something if the timing is not right? Like, because if you do it too soon, it's just going to fizzle out quicker. And if you do it too late, then you just missed out, But at the same time, you can't rush people to a healing space and to want them in your life and to want them to be there when maybe they're just not ready. And in some instances, I'm not ready, and I accept that. And it's not the fact that I'm not ready. It's also the fact that I have to go through this phase of trusting this person again. And sometimes when you break trust down to the point where it's unreconcilable or irreconcilable, you just kind of let things be. If time wants us to come together, if this universe wants us to come together, it'll make it happen, right? But that's my 30-minute rant today. I'm glad that I came on here to express those feelings and how I feel, because it's been bottled up inside of me for a long, long time. And I've been scared to talk about it because I'm scared of being judged. I'm scared of talking about it because I, worry about what other people may think or may say. And whoever was my friend and sees this video, take it for what it is. Like, this is my experience. This is where I'm at. I'm speaking my truths. If you want to speak to me, you can reach out to me. You can leave a comment, whatever. But this is where I'm at. And I'm not going to budge my needs for anyone, especially if I'm the one that's giving it to myself.